Chapter 17. Finally, I've reached Chapter 17, Volume 3 of the manga Yakusoku no Neverland. Chapter 17 highlights Don and Gilda trying to break into Mama's secret room. When I was first reading this, I just couldn't stop reading this arc because of the tension and the suspense that it built up in the volumes 1 and 2. And looking at the table of contents, it really just raises the stakes of how much more exciting Volume 3 is compared to the preceding volumes. I love Don and Gilda because they are keen and observant in seeking the truth. Even if Emma and Ray told them do not go to the secret room, they still disobeyed Ray's orders because they're seeking to know the truth. They're itching to know the truth, especially Dawn. And there's in the chapter cover art, they're both sweating. They're both afraid of what's gonna happen. They do not trust the trio at this point, especially Dawn, especially since he cannot calm down. He can't do anything right now, and he only knows partially of the truth. He only knows that something is being hidden from them. So, anyway, that something is gonna come to light in this chapter. And what I do love about is that this chapter is divided into two things: how the trio, Emma, Norman, and Ray, are discovering the secrets or the book plates, William Minerva's insignia, ex libri, or the bookplate, as Ray said, that it's William Minerva's insignia or symbol or signature. William Minerva has been providing information to the kids at the farms as a hidden message so that they can figure it out themselves, so that they can escape. I really love how Morse code is incorporated in this manga. It's the very first time that I've heard of Morse code. I didn't even really know about it until I pick up TPN. I really love how Norman is able to decipher the Morse code, the secret messages in the ex libri plates or on the book plates that Emma pointed out. And they're really secret messages that only brilliant kids like 11-year-old Norman, Emma, and Ray can decipher. One, doubt, danger, truth, harvest, monster, and lastly, farm, just as Norman says. I really love the face that Ray is making to Emma when Emma says, "It's, I believe, my guts. That's the reason that I want to believe that these two books can guide us to our journey out in the outside world." And Ray just made that sulky face that he doesn't trust Emma's guts. He's a very pessimistic person in this arc, and I really love how these trio are trying to solve the puzzles that they were given so that they can escape this dystopian society, or so that they can escape Wastefield House. Norman is as observant as ever, making the theories or theorizing that there's an ally in the outside world named William Minerva. And Emma's optimism just influences Norman and Ray to a certain extent. Norman was saying that even the ex libri bookplate is shown on Ray's books called Mechanical Engineering and Human History, that at this point in the arc is it says that it's published in 2015, 30 years ago at this point in this arc. So I really love how even the readers are keen to know or interested to know what's the reality, what's the outside world like at this in universe, the Promised Neverland. I really love how Ray pointed out that the two books that are very special, one of them do not have the Morse code, and one of them has the Morse code promise. I think that the label where there's a blank Morse code, that's the blank Morse code is stamped on the book where I think Emma says in here that a book that doesn't have Morse code and the web pages, so it's the web pages that doesn't have the Morse code bookplate in it, and that's gonna be their book that they can use as a passcode to decipher William Minerva's pen. I think that's it. And even looking at the web pages, it has some illustrations of a snake, a golden apple, warriors, really showcases the mythology that Ray is talking about, that it's a mythology book that Ray doesn't even understand. And the first book is a typical adventure novel Hugo and Marvin's Adventures, the book without. That's the book with the word promise in it. So basically, there are two special books. The first book, that's an adventure novel. Ray said it's an adventure novel. It has Hugo and Marvin's adventures in it that they're going to use as a guide when they go to the Forest of Vows, when Emma and Ray and the others go to the Forest of Vows. And it has the Morse code promise in it. The second book is a book that a mythology book that Ray didn't understand, and it has with pages, and it has the bookplate that doesn't have any Morse code in it, that it's a blank Morse code, and that they're gonna use that in future chapters where they're gonna use that as a reference key to decipher or to use as a passcode William Minerva's pen. I think going back now, I understand a little bit more of this. So 2 books. One of the mythology book, it doesn't have the Morse code. It has the web pages. But Hugo and Marvin's adventure novel has the Morse code for the word promise, which is going to be very important in these kids' journeys. Anyway, moving on, Don and Gilda are also highlighted in this chapter. They were really freaking out when they realized that the key that Don pickpocketed from Mama was a success, that they're able to break into Mama's secret room. At first, they went into a storage. They were really shocked that there's another basement, and the big reveal came in. If I were Don, I would be freaked out. If I were Gilda, I would also be freaked out. And just the look on their faces, the shock and horror. This is emphasized in the anime because of the color schemes, the tones, the sounds, the background music, the silence, the camera angles. The camera angles in the anime is pointing to Don's eyes, having realized little Bernie is in there. They were really freaking out. And the records that the kids were shipped, their average scores is even in there. From 2037 until 2043, just when Gilda just push one of the books, this hidden bookshelf, one of the bookshelves is left by or opened to reveal a communication device to let Gilda and Don theorize that Mama has been communicating to people outside, and this frightens them. Gilda confirms the truth that it really is something going on. There's really something bad going on in this house. And based on what she remembered when Emma and Norman and Ray told them in the library, human trafficking, selling them to bad people, Don seems skeptical. Don still seems skeptical because he doesn't trust the trio. How did they even know that they were being sold off to bad people? That's what Don mentions in the English translation. In the fan translation, Don was saying, how did Norman and Emma figure out that the people that the siblings left with were really bad guys? So, and then the chapter just ends with Mama Isabella returning to her office. And there's another cliffhanger where Don and Gilda were frightened because they're gonna be trapped if Mama Isabella ever finds out. So basically that's the gist of chapter 17. Let me know what you think, what excites you in chapter 17. I really love how the trio are figuring out the clues that William Minerva left them in the library. It showcases their analytical skills, their solving abilities, their will to find out the truth and more about this world. This is one of my favorite chapters. Even though it's a dialogue heavy, it shows that there's still a division among Ray, Emma, and Norman's group. Aside from Gilda and Don, they were very divided at this point. Well, not so much divided, but Don and Gilda are acting on their own. And I'm trying, when I was reading it for the first time, I was telling to myself, oh my gosh, Don, don't go there. It's scary, it's frightening, it's terrifying. But then Gilda helped her, and it shows Gilda is as resolved as Don so that they can learn more about the truth. I really love their story arcs in this chapter, in this series. So kudos to Don and Gilda. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much for listening.